Hello there, and welcome back to the garage. This is the third installment of my Fatbob build. Picking up where we left off last video, Lorenzo and I torqued down the oil pressure plate and aligned the oil pump gears. Check out the previous videos to get yourself up to speed. Right now, I'm cleaning the gasket surface around the tappet housing. The next step is going to be to remove the engine cylinder studs. These are considered a single-use component because when they are torqued down, the threads stretch, making them compromised once undone. I will be replacing them with S&S chromoly studs as well as the head fasteners. To remove the studs, you simply get two nuts of the same thread pitch, thread them both on the stud, and tighten them on each other. Now I can use the spanner and/or wrench on the bottom nut to drive the stud off. Final step is to struggle to remove the nuts on camera. Good job. With the studs out of the way, I can easily overhaul the piston oiler jets. These guys keep the piston nice and wet. As I mentioned in the previous episode, it is a good idea to upgrade the oiling system in Milwaukee 8 motors when modifying them. The marketing got to me, so I'm throwing the whole catalog at this build. You just saw me finish installing the front cylinder oil jet. Now moving on to the rear cylinder, I'm going to remove the two small self-tapping screws. I do not want to drop these into the crankcase. Now I can remove the stock oiler jet. I have never seen this before until my bike, but it looks like they forgot to remove the plastic laminate from the gaskets at the factory. I found the same on the front as well. Let me know if anyone else has noticed this before. With the gasket removed, I'm going to clean the area. But before I can install the new part, I need to use one of the self-tapping screws to clean the old threads and drive them a little deeper into the casting. Using a fresh drill bit, I'm cleaning the edges of the threaded holes, ensuring a smooth surface for the gasket to mate to. Here is a comparison of the stock Harley oiler jet and the S&S replacement, as well as having a second bore for increased oil flow. It also has a revised jet angle and position, which allows for much more efficient oil delivery to the piston rings. It is also blue, which does nothing but make me happy. Medium strength thread locker is recommended, and new gaskets are required to install. Just cleaning the cylinder base surfaces with a fine grit Scotch pad. I am being careful cleaning around the cylinder alignment dowels as I will be reusing them. I also don't want to go too hard with the Scotch pad so not to warp the surface. Nice squirters, bro. Do they make that in men's? Behind that oil pressure plate is a 475 S&S camshaft. From here on out, it's all assembly. Right now, I'm fitting the new chromoly engine cylinder studs. The process for installing these is the reverse of the removal procedure, but now I can use the top nut to drive the studs down with the electric ratchet with high strength Loctite. Then I torque them down to 25 foot-pounds. Next, I'm going to bleed down the tappets using a special tool. This is a fancy one by Jim's Tools, but if you have an old jar and a tire inflation valve, you can make a budget one. Using a fluid vacuum tool, I can force all the air out of the tappets. The S&S tappets I'm now running are rated for higher RPM operation tolerances and have finer bearings to ease engine resistance. As these tappets are new, it does not matter where they go. If we're using tappets and push rods, they should go exactly back where they originally came from. I'm replacing the stock tappet cuffs with S&S aluminum precision cuffs. These keep the tappets aligned and a good idea as the plastic cuffs can flex and degrade. To correctly fasten the cuffs down, I'm using a feeler gauge to slot between the cuff wall and tappet. This keeps the cuff aligned so as not to cause any binding. I'm constantly turning the engine over while doing this to ensure the tappets are not binding. The cuffs are torqued to 100 inch-pounds. I'm fitting the crank locking tool to keep the engine from turning over. This will make fitting the cylinders easier in the next episode. Now, I'm prepping one of the cylinder bores to measure ring and gap. These need to be cleaned first. Then I'll apply some engine oil to lubricate it. These bores measure at 4¼ inches, which turns the 114 cubic inch motor into a 128Q. I already carried out this procedure on the first cylinder. It is a mirror process to this, so I didn't film it. I'm grinding down the piston rings to set the ring end gap. I'm following the S&S recommendation for this build. The specs are on the screen now. Using the diamond surface ring cutter makes this job much easier. It cuts very quickly, so that's why I'm being conservative here. The file takes off the sharp edges. Using the piston with 2 wrist pins fitted gives me the perfect level setter to make uniform measurements with the feeler gauge. Now that the ring end gap is set, I can fit the rings to the piston. Up on the screen is the correct orientation for each ring. Right now, I imagine you're wondering why I have every proper engine building tool but no piston ring spreader. Well, the answer to that is that I did have one, a very old and well-used one, and it broke doing the first set of piston rings off camera. So, these rings are going on the old-fashioned way. Well, that will about do it for now. Both pistons ready for installation in the Fatbob. Next episode, I'll be dropping the cylinders in and doing some handlebar work, so subscribe and ring that bell so you don't miss that. If you like this kind of content, I would appreciate a like and let me know what you think in the comments. Thanks for watching, friends. Ride safe and keep going.